Hi, I'm Jennifer.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Andrea.
And
we're
not saints.
But we sure want to be.
Trying.
One day. We are definitely trying. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. And today we are talking about Saint Elizabeth Ann Seton. And I have to be honest with you guys, I really did not know much about her at all. And I'd heard of schools, but I didn't know anything else. Mm-hmm. So it was really a joy for me to learn a little bit more about this woman. And honestly, after learning, I kind of feel a little bit of a connection to her. And I look forward to delving into her a little bit more as time goes on, because she was a wife and she was a mom. And she walked through deep, deep loss. And with every step, she grew closer to God. And of course, that just makes me so happy. Like so many of us, she faced heartbreak and change, but she kept saying, yes, one small step at a time. And her story reminds me that holiness is not about perfection. And I think that's something that I think about a lot. It's not about perfection. It's about love, perspective, and believing that God can use joy and sorrow. We have to remember that. He can use both for something good. And that's been in my own life, I think in our lives, all of our lives. And through grief and healing, we're able to find new purpose and faith. And one of my favorite quotes from St. Elizabeth is, "The gate of heaven is very low. Only the humble can enter it." And that's been something I've been working on for a while, being humble. I love this because it reminds us that our way to God is often through surrender, if we can just surrender. So maybe today we can pray, and we can pray, hey, Lord, help us to trust Elizabeth, to see your hand in every season, and to love the way you love. That's my thoughts.
That.
Just some thoughts.
Yeah. Wasn't she raised Episcopalian
Yes, she
as
was.
you were?
Yes.
Yeah, because you didn't get married. At the time, your first marriage was to Randy that was Episcopalian because he didn't want to become Catholic and you were Greek Orthodox. And as Elizabeth, you changed, you became Catholic, and the Eucharist became very powerful to you, as with her. I think as I recall, the Eucharist is the reason that she wanted to become Catholic, because it spoke to her. Jesus came to her, and she fell into the Catholic faith head over heels.
And at the beginning, she was fighting it. And she was like, I think she wrote a book, her diaries.
In her diaries, we learn a lot about what led to her conversion. And
at one point she said, these Catholics, the Felicis, they just keep wanting me to become Catholic. And she didn't want to be. And again, in the times, we have to remember in the times in America, it was the wealthy were the Episcopalians.
Yeah.
And the poor were the immigrants. The Catholics were the immigrants and the poor people in America. Now, I don't know if that made a difference in her life or not, but when we go back and look.
Yeah. And as we go through her life, I think it's really interesting. Well, I thought it was interesting. She was the first American-born saint. And then once you learn more and more about her, I kept seeing the similarities between your guys' lives and what she went through.
I'm not a saint.
I know, we're not saints, so we know it. But it's nice to connect to the saints and their stories and give inspiration to ourselves and to others that even if you don't become a saint, you can come very close to it. And you can still strive for that. But I know you also just said it's not about striving. And we have to just think about, you start and then you can always stumble and fall, but you can begin again. And I think that's what happens with St. Elizabeth's story. She starts off, she's born to a wealthy family and she is raised in upper class in New York City. And I think, Mike, you were going to kind of overview a little bit of her earlier years.
No, keep going.
Oh, do you want me to keep going?
You're fine.
Well, then she married well. Her husband was a businessman, but he had tuberculosis. So that caused problems, not only with his health, but within his business. And they had gone over, so they're problem solving, and they had gone over to Italy to stay with some of her husband's business partners. And
The Felicis.
They're the Felicis, who we've heard of a little bit briefly. But they really were the saints behind Saint Elizabeth, I think. And I heard,
said.
yeah, well, it's not my words, actually. As I was researching, someone else had said that. It was a priest that was talking about Saint Elizabeth's story. And he said, you know, as we learn about the saints, we also learn about the saints behind the saints. So I just really liked that. And if I knew his name, we get a little fact check and find out who that was. But it's all of their story rolled into this wonderful outcome that Elizabeth Ann Seton was able to create these schools and bring more people into the Catholic faith. But she wasn't always Catholic. And the Felicis, they took her in, took Elizabeth and her family in during this hard time for their family. Her husband ends up dying in Italy. And
let's preface just real quickly, because one thing I just found, and we would talked about earlier, is that when they got there, when they went over, they were going over because his business was not doing great because of
The Revolutionary War.
That's right.
Ooh,
and
revolutionary.
when they were going over, they were expecting the Felicis and to have this warm
Right.
welcome into Italy, and they had to be quarantined.
Oh, right. I forgot about the quarantine.
That's right. And that is when, and it was an old prison that was converted into this place. And of course, it was damp and not a great place for
The only
her
way,
husband.
it was like an island
Yeah.
Yeah.
that they had
to go by rowboat.
rowboat out to the island. It was drafty, cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he got more sick and more sick and more sick. And she started praying and he started praying. And she wanted him to find comfort with the Lord. And that's when she said, I think it was in her diaries, that's when she really grew closer to God when she was
in that whole situation. And
Yeah.
that's just an example of how, you know, a lot of people say in hard times, why does God give us these hard times if he loves us so much? Well, if everything were all sunshine and rainbows all the time, you'd have no reason. You know, like it's the same as needing your parents. I can't tell you how many times I've run to not only my parents, but my second parents and my third set of parents. You know, I've got parents everywhere, I think, but not that many. But anyway, I'm just saying, if everything is great all the time and you need nothing and you don't look for anything, any help or support, your relationship with God, it loses out on that strengthening power of, okay, hard times do bring you wisdom and strength and that motivation.
lots of wisdom.
Yeah. But you run to God in those times as well as in the times that everything is going great. You're making $1 million. You still go to church and you say thanks.
That's right. Amen.
With the Felicis helping them, though, this is also, so her husband dies in 1803. She becomes Catholic in 1805. So in those 2 years.
But back in the States, she didn't become Catholic in Italy.
Right.
Another interesting fact.
Right. And it was seeing how committed the Felicis were to their faith, and she's experiencing the faith with them. And I think that's really nice too. We've started going to church together after you guys both converted, and I was already Catholic, but I was going through so much crap that I needed help. That I just needed help kind of getting back into the swing of things. And I just see that also parallel where you're experiencing something so wonderful and you're getting so much from your faith that you just want to share it with others. And I think that's what the Felicis were doing. And then in turn, St. Elizabeth ends up sharing it with so many other people.
Right.
So she becomes Catholic in 1805, after thinking of the Catholics as everybody did around that time, the poor, superstitious group.
I've got to think what the Episcopalian, she had a spiritual director who was Episcopalian. Oh my gosh.
How they referred to
They referred to the Catholics. They have too many bells and whistles, or it was something like that.
It was the bells and whistles.
Was it bells and whistles?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. It was, again, I left the Episcopalian faith to become Catholic. And it was interesting to hear how Episcopalians approached me and shared their wonderful opinions with me. And it was interesting as I was reading that, because that happened a little bit to me when we decided to become Catholic.
Yeah, and I think you have to be open-minded at times. And I went to an Episcopal church when I lived in New York City, and I went to, I think it's the Episcopal church, Trinity Church, and talk about bells and whistles. I went to Sunday service there, and we're walking up to take communion, and the choir is on both sides of you as you're walking up. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking left and right. I'm like, are we in heaven, or is this happening right now? Am I going? Is this it? And so you think of the bells and whistles in the Catholic Church, but I think all services have some sense of that enchantment.
Yeah. Well, and everybody, all of them, everybody, we all love Jesus. And that's just the most important thing to remember, is we all love Jesus.
But something changed in her when it came to the Catholic faith, and there's going to be those moments for everybody, I think, when you're working through your faith. And it was the Eucharist, right?
She felt the
Saint
presence
Elizabeth.
of Jesus for the first time. And I think it was during a parade, and the Eucharist was being paraded.
Correct.
And she collapsed. The power of Jesus was so powerful. And that's when she started going and really looking into the Eucharist.
Yeah.
And that's what made her Catholic, because she felt the presence of Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what's that moment for you? What's that moment that's going to make you think, oh, this is it. This is right for me. And then once she had these moments so many times, then she ends up becoming Catholic in 1805. Things continued to move rather quickly. I mean, she founded the first Catholic school in 1810, so just 5 years later. And she's inspired by her faith. I think that's really important. Not necessarily that the Felicis and the people who inspired her to get on this path weren't as important, but if it's me, I have imposter syndrome. So I'm like, I don't know if I should be in charge of that. If it were me, I'm just, so think of like putting yourself in her shoes. You just converted 5 years ago, and now I'm going to open a school. And again, there are these similarities with her story. And I know you're not going to say this because it's like, you're trying to be humble. I get it. So I'll say it. These similarities with your story, because you were really inspired by your faith, and then you end up writing Are You There, Mary? Finding Love in the Confessional, both available on Amazon. And you're sharing that love with others. Me, I got to work on my insecurity, because I'd be like, should I be talking about this? Should we be doing this podcast? I don't know. But that's why it's more the reason to do it, because you're more relatable, and somebody out there might be thinking, oh, I'm not Catholic enough or religious enough to partake in these things. But she founded this school. She knew she had her faith behind her and God and Jesus. And she's wanting to spread that with others, that love with others. So I hope I said that okay.
You said it beautifully.
Okay,
You did say it beautifully.
Thank you. Go on.
Anyway, I mean, she was. And you know what we didn't mention is all the loss she had. Growing up, her mom and her sister died.
Yep.
And she was like, was she 4 when her mother died?
She was 3 when her mom died.
Yeah.
She lost two children.
2 siblings. No. She lost a sister, but then later in life, she lost 2 children, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, because 3 of 5 of her
And her
children
father.
died.
Her mother,
with
her
her
father,
husband.
her husband, all of them.
And that's
Yeah.
another similarity between your life and hers. I hate to say it because it's not like a great thing. Like, you've connected with so many other people who have lost children or their husbands
yeah.
or, family members. And it's not the thing that you'd want to connect to people on, but it's really impactful and really important to share that in that grief with others, because that's what's going to push you through. But yeah, with her story, she loses 2 out of the 5 of her children, her husband, her sister, her mother died first.
Yeah.
So those are some big losses. And then with your life, your dad, your husband, your son,
Brother.
you had your brother. Oh, I'm sorry, your brother, and then your son. And all of these things are outlined in Are You There, Mary? Available on Amazon. And I wish I had a better way of, I know that was a bad, sidebar, but I'm just saying, to share in that grief with others, it's like turning on a song that makes you relate to, makes you know that you're not the only one. You're not alone in this suffering. And that's the comforting aspect of it. Yes, this happened, but you're not alone. Not only is God there, but other people have gotten through this with him, and you can too. And that's how I feel about telling the stories of the saints. It's like turning on a good song. You're a relatable song, I mean. You're hearing their stories and you're seeing yourself in them. And that's why we're here, talking about these things.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. And that's my TED Talk.
And she's doing a good job. Right. Exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah. And although they lost children, they also adopted William, her husband, Elizabeth's husband. His parents died, and then they cared for his 6 younger children, or their 6 younger children.
Correct.
So his siblings were
Their children.
adopted. Yeah.
And then he died.
Yep. He did.
And he was her true love. I mean, she adored him, and she talks about that too, how they were truly in love and had 5 children and all this, and then the tuberculosis kicked in and more loss. And
there was a lot of loss and grieving and a lot of hard times, even when she wanted a place to share her faith before starting the school. I think what happened between 1805 and 1810 was a lot of drama. I wish there were a reality show about it, because she's Catholic in a totally Episcopalian landscape here when she goes back to America, and everybody's like, girl, what happened to you? And she's
she
like,
got disowned from her parents.
her
That's
parents, her friends, her family, and she's trying to share this love of God in this new way that she's discovered, and her friends and family shun her. So she doesn't let that stop her or lead her to funneling a box of wine like I would have. But it inspired her even more. She kept going.
Yes.
So don't let these things stop you. You know you're passionate about something when everybody around you is like, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work, and you keep going anyway. And that's exactly what happened here. Yep. She kept going anyway. She opened St. Joseph Academy. It's a free school. This is in Emmitsburg, Maryland.
Now. Exactly.
So she's also responsible for founding and establishing the Sisters of Charity of St. Joseph's,
right,
which focused on education and caring for the poor. So when in doubt, when everybody's against you and you don't fit in, that's God telling you, you kind of need to stand out. Don't funnel the box of wine. Share it with others.
Exactly, and she did.
Don't throw yourself a pity party. Never mind. I need to stop.
No, you're doing a great job, but it is. Do you have anything you want to add, darling?
No, you guys are covering it pretty well today. It's too much wine, I think.
There is not wine in these cups.
No.
I swear it's gone.
She just has a
You
couple
notice I
extra
don't have a
shades.
cup.
Yes,
so
you do. Where is your cup?
I didn't have one.
I brought you one, honey.
Oh.
Oh boy. We got coffee on the loose.
Missy coffee. We did bring you one.
With bourbon.
Not true.
But,
Anyway.
I mean, so, well, as a husband, Mike, you can speak to this. When your wife is struggling through these things, grief, and how do you support these moments of deep despair and deep pain?
You just any marriage or any relationship, a good relationship is a give and take thing, and you have to be supportive of your partner because you love them. So it's not that hard to do.
He's my rock. I couldn't be where I am today if I didn't have him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He puts up with a lot, that rock.
It's not that bad, really.
And
Don't paint such a dark picture. It's really pretty good.
well, she Saint Elizabeth, she was the patron saint, or she is the what am I saying? She's the patron saint of Catholic schools, widows, parents who lost children, children who have lost parents, and when you're also in that kind of blended family, you're also supporting those kids who are now, I mean, all of your children are older now. I mean, for Catherine, or St. Elizabeth, sorry, who am I saying? For St. Elizabeth, her children were all quite young when all of this loss happened. But it still goes on afterwards, after the loss happens. How do you guys kind of band together to support those who are within your family? I know you guys love to have a dinner party, and games.
We just had dinner with the kids last night, with my kids. Mike's kids live out west, and one lives in Culver. But we were able to have dinner with most. We just were missing Katie and her husband, and it was...
Well, Katie and
Jason,
three of the
Jason,
kids.
yeah, and Katie and 3 of the kids couldn't make it. But we make it work. I mean, we love all of our kids together. And I'm really blessed because with his 2 girls, I'm doing, we're reading the Bible together. So it's been a real joy to grow together with them in God. And we just answer each other's questions because life is difficult. And I feel blessed that I'm doing that with them as well. So we're trying. We're not perfect, but we're just trying. That's what I would say. We're just trying.
Yeah, because it's so busy in today's world to stop everything. Okay, everybody get together. And I think, in this story, I lost count of how many kids are involved here. I mean, you've got a lot of grandchildren. Yeah. Mike's got 3 kids of his own and then 2 grandchildren from both those kids, or all 3 of those kids. So it's a lot to keep bringing your family together. And then in this story where she's taking care of everybody's kids and then opening a school, more kids. There's so many kids. Yeah. But with the togetherness is really important. And the fact that in this story and in your own story, the difference of faith, even though people didn't, like her friends and family, they weren't Catholic, she was able to help one of William, her husband's sisters, convert to Catholicism. Mm-hmm. So her sister-in-law ends up converting. It's not everybody, but and it's not for everybody. Sometimes it takes people longer to find their faith. So with you reading the Bible with some of your relatives, these are your grandchildren.
No, with Mike's daughters.
Oh, okay. So when it comes to family members who are following a different faith, how do you guys navigate that? That's my last question. I don't know when this became a talk show.
I think we're supportive as long as they have faith. That's what I use. As long as you believe in something, I'm going to support it because that's I had to really lose James to grow closer to God. I had a strong faith. I'm not saying that, but my faith grew tremendously because Mother Mary called me. My Mother Mary brought me home so that James died in my arms. And I will stand by that for as long as I live. And I know that she wanted me to lose. He was supposed to die, but he died in my arms. Mm-hmm. And I'm grateful for that. And because of that, I do like to go to church as much as I can. And that's the beauty. One of the many beauties of the Catholic Church for me is I can go to church every day. And not just one time, especially in Indianapolis, I can open up and say, oh my gosh, there's Mass here, and I can figure it out. Mm-hmm. And it's a gift for me. We can only share our experiences. So with our family and going to church and all of that, I'm just grateful that my kids believe, our grandkids believe, our kids believe in something.
Mm-hmm. That's important to remind ourselves of, because I think today where everybody is pressured to be categorized as something,
right,
what are you? Who do you believe in? What do you believe? Like, you know, this is a stick up. I never want anybody to feel that way. I don't want them to feel that way watching this show. But yeah, I just thought to ask that because with so many people.
And I respect all different beliefs.
Yeah.
Because, we're not here to judge.
Right.
Right? We
Yeah.
cannot judge.
No. Well, it's similar to people's political beliefs, too, can cause a lot of conflict, as, a lot of wars start because of religious beliefs.
Right.
So I think it's important to have an open mind and not hate someone because they believe something different than you.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
You can disagree with someone but not hate them.
Correct.
Well, and there's a fine line between not forcing your beliefs on somebody and then being so scared to share your beliefs with anybody. And I think, so in Deuteronomy 6, chapter 6, verse 6, I pulled this up whenever I was reading through St. Elizabeth's story. Although people turned away from her, I don't think she had in her diaries or in any of the records, she had any problems between those people. Mm-hmm. She left that community and started something of her own, of course. But, what you're saying, the best thing you can do is just support that there's a belief in something and then let people follow their path and figure out where it's going to lead them. But we should never, and any of us, we should never be afraid to share what we believe in or share that love of God with others.
That's the bottom line, is sharing the love of God.
And so in this verse, in chapter 6, verse 6, it says, "Take to heart these words which I command to you today. Keep repeating them to your children. Recite them when you are at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up." That's really important, to continue to share the love of God, the love of Jesus, no matter what the situation is, as long as you're sharing it and you're not forcing it on somebody.
Totally agree.
I think it could spread good.
And living in love.
Yeah.
One thing I did find interesting before we close is when her feast day is January 4th, but talking about all the, oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? She was for widows, for...
the patron saint?
Yes, patron saint of widows, patron saint of... She was also the patron saint, I have to think if I could... For those who have problems with their in-laws. And that made me giggle today.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I don't have in-laws.
So
but
any of those, I know. And I was thinking, we don't have in-laws anymore either. We have my mom, and my mom adores you. But it made me think of those of you out there who might be having in-law issues. She's a great saint to talk to you about, which I thought was very fun.
Wow.
I know. It made me giggle. Anyway, thank you for joining us today as we spent time with Saint Elizabeth Ann Seton, a woman who showed us that holiness begins right where we are. That's real important. Holiness right where we are. She was a wife, a mother, a teacher, and a friend who faced loss and uncertainty and kept saying yes to God in every situation and wanted to get to know God more. Right? Would you?
Right.
Yeah. She continued to want to know God and share God.
yeah.
Right. Know
she
God
said
and share
no
it.
to that box of wine, and she chose God.
That's right. That's right. Her story reminds us that faith isn't about perfection, which I said earlier. It's about love, trust, and perseverance. Like Elizabeth, may we learn to find God in the ordinary moments of our lives and to believe that every yes, no matter how small, can become something holy. We hope you keep walking with us on this journey to learn more about the saints and share the love that we are finding with each saint and the lessons we're learning. Right?
Amen.
Anyone else? We're
trying.
and we're ordinary. Remember, saints are just ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And we all can do it. One small act of kindness at a time, right? Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of We're Not Saints. For more of the We're Not Saints shenanigans and behind-the-scenes content, you can follow us on Instagram at We're Not Saints 1. That's We're Not Saints 1 without the apostrophe. And be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. We'd also love to hear from you. So leave us a comment or a review or contact us by email at we'reNotSaints1@gmail.com.
And if you'd like to have a great companion to your weekly saint studies with us, you can purchase a copy of my books. Are You There, Mary? How to Resurrect in Love After Loss, and or Finding Love in the Confessional on Amazon, available as a Kindle version or paperback.
All these links will be provided in the description of this episode. And don't forget to tune in next Wednesday for our weekly dose of saints. God bless you.
Should you read it again with more intonation?
No.
It was very Mike.